Hello, welcome to Module 1, Video D, talking all about how to read in data using the Pandas package in Python. So first of all, what is a package and what is Pandas? So when you download base Python onto your computer, it does not contain every function you could ever possibly want to use because, frankly, people have made far more than 1,000 functions in Python, and it would just be ridiculously large. So instead, certain groups of functions that have specific purposes are grouped into packages. So if you want to use a specific package, you first download it onto your computer and then you import it into your environment. So today we will be using the Pandas package. If you've never downloaded a package before, there's a couple ways you can do that. I'm not going to be going over that in this video. YouTube, Google, ChatGPT can all give you plenty of information on that. But once you have the package downloaded, we need to import it into our environment. So I'm going to go ahead and run this code. I actually already ran it, so it ran pretty quickly. So now I've imported pandas as PD, and now I can use this package. So the pandas package, it is set up to handle tabular data. It's kind of like base main thing is the data frame, and so we're going to be reading files in and putting them into data frames. I've also imported NumPy here. That stands for numerical Python, just for some math we'll be doing. And as a note, so I've imported pandas as PD. That just makes it so when I want to access a function from pandas, instead of having to type out pandas.something, I just type out pd.something. So with that, we'll go ahead and read in our data. So if you've been following along with this video series, we went over a couple different file types. The first one we covered was Excel workbook files. So for any sort of file we're going to read in, we're going to use this pd.read, and then there's different versions of it. So for the Excel file, you see we have pd.read _ Excel. So that's the function from pandas. And then as an argument, we put in the full file path name. Something important to note here is the .xlsx. You might think, well, I just told it it's an Excel file, it knows the file extension, but it does not. If you don't include that, it's not going to read it in. It's going to throw an error. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and get this running. You'll see it's going to take a second. This next line of code here is doing something very similar, but now we're using pd.read _ CSV. This function is the exact same way. It's going to read in a CSV file. CSV files actually aren't all that this function can read in. Down here, we're going to use the read _ CSV to read in a couple other types of delimited data. So previously we looked at a .dat file type as well as a .text file type. And so if we want to read in these file types, they don't have a dedicated function, but we can use the read _ CSV, and then right over here, we just have to specify what the delimiter is. So if I go and, open up this text file right here, you can see that the delimiter there was a tab. So in my code here, I just did a /t. Another note on getting this code here to run is your program needs to be able to find these files. So you can see how I've done this right here is I have a folder on my computer called Module 1. The file that I'm currently in, Data Wrangling .ipynb, is in this file in this folder, and so are all of these files I'm reading in. If your file isn't in the same folder as the Jupyter notebook you're working in, you'll just have to point it there. So, you can do a / folder / wherever it is. But I just really like keeping all my stuff in the same folder. So yeah, this block of code ran. You can see that it took 45 seconds. I was reading in 4 different files. so that's to be expected that it took a little while. And I'd mentioned this before, but this is one of the great things about Jupyter Notebooks, is that I can just read that in all at once. So we've read in our files, but what did they look like? So I'm going to scroll down a bit. And so the file we're really going to be working with a lot today is that weather history right here that we read in. And so I've just renamed that as DF, which stands for Data Frame, common abbreviation, so that we can quickly access it. So if I scroll down here, I'm going to run a cell which simply returns DF, and we can see that it starts printing out our data frame. So much like the tabular data we've looked at before, up along the top we have our column names, and then down along here we have indices, and then we have all of our data. And that's really the basic setup of a data frame. You have indices, you have column names, sometimes the columns are indexes, or sorry, sometimes the indices here are numerical, they can also be non-numerical. But yeah, we'll switch to another video to look at our data frame a bit more, but congrats, you can now read in a file.